ज्या व्याख्यानाची पूर्ण महाराष्ट्राचं बालरोग तज्ज्ञ संघटना, सर्व सभासद, सर्व मंडळी हे अनेक दिवसापासून वाट पाहत होते, प्रतीक्षा करत होते, त्या व्याख्यानाची वेळ येऊन ठेपलेली आहे. आणि मला माहिती आहे की जे व्याख्याते आहेत त्यांना मराठीत बोललेलं खूप आवडतं. त्याच्यामुळे मी आज मराठीत हे सगळे प्रोसिडिंग्स करणार आहे. तर सुरुवातीला सगळ्यांचं सुस्वागतम. आणि पुढच्या प्रोसिडिंगसाठी मी अध्यक्ष महाराष्ट्र स्टेट IIP डॉक्टर जयंत पांढरेकर यांना विनंती करतो की त्यांनी स्टेजवर यावं.
गुड इव्हनिंग, नमस्कार आणि सर्वांना खूप खूप शुभेच्छा आजच्या या ओरेशन करता. असं म्हटलं जातं की माझ्यापेक्षा माझा पुत्र श्रेष्ठ व्हावा, पुत्रात इच्छे असे एक संस्कृत सुभाषिक आहे. त्याचप्रमाणे माझ्यापेक्षा माझा शिष्य हा एक खूप मोठा व्हावा, असं प्रत्येक गुरुची आणि प्रत्येक पित्याची इच्छा असते. आणि आज हा केवळ दुग्ध शर्करा योग आहे की आज ज्या गुरुला आपण सन्मानित करणार आहोत, त्यांच्या प्रत्यर्थ आपण हे ओरेशन देत आहोत, त्या गुरूंचे पुत्र डॉक्टर ब्रजेश उदानी आणि त्यांच्या सुनबाई इथे आज उपलब्ध आहे. हा एक केवळ दुग्ध शर्करा योग असं मी म्हणेन. अर्थातच ज्या शिष्याला हे ओरेशन बहाल करण्यात येत आहे असे डॉक्टर महेशजी मोहिते आज इथे त्यांना हे ओरेशन मिळत आहे. आणि म्हणूनच आज स्वर्गीय डॉक्टर उदानी सरांना खूपच आनंद होत असेल तिथे असून सुद्धा की नाही, आज दोन्ही पुत्रात आणखी शिष्य या दोघांचाही आज माझ्या नावाने एक ओरेशन त्यांना ऑनर मिळत आहे. असं हे आदरणीय आजचं छान असा सुंदर असा क्षण आहे. यू ऑल नो डॉक्टर, मी त्यांचा आज थोडक्यात परिचय करून देतोय. सगळ्यांना त्यांचा परिचय आहेच, काहीच म्हणजे त्यात काहीच शंका नाहीये. परंतु आमची नवीन जी यंग ब्रिगेड आहे त्यांच्याकरता मी त्यांचा थोडक्यात परिचय करून देतो. सरांबद्दल बोलण्यासारखं खूप काही आहे, पण थोडक्यात मी सांगणार आहे. He was a professor emeritus of pediatrics at Institute of Child Health, Government Grant Medical College and Sir J.J. Group of Hospitals, Mumbai. He was an astute clinician and on many occasions he would be able to spot a clinical diagnosis which had baffled many clinicians. Saraंचं diagnosis we all know. Dr. Udani sir was always invited at many centers in India आणि बाहेर सुद्धा जगाच्या पाठीवर त्यांना प्रत्येक देशामध्ये त्यांना इन्व्हाइट केलं गेलं होतं. आणि त्यानंतर तिथून जे यायचे तेव्हा ते जे सांगायचे त्यांचा जो क्लिनिकल राऊंड्स राहायचा, इट वॉज वंडरफुल. त्यांचे जे शिष्य आहेत, त्यांचे जे सगळे त्यांनी जे स्टुडंट्स आहेत ते आजही सांगतात की सर तिथलं पूर्ण वर्णन सांगायचे की काय काय तिथे मी शिकलो आणि काय काय तिथे त्यांनी बघितलं. त्यानंतर त्यांचे जे सरांचे राऊंड्स राहायचे, हिज वॉर्ड राऊंड्स वुड गो ऑन फॉर सेव्हरल अवर्स अँड यूज टू बी अटेंडेड बाय मॅनी पोस्ट ग्रॅज्युएट स्टुडंट्स फ्रॉम अदर इन्स्टिट्यूशन्स. त्यांचे राऊंड्स अटेंड करण्याकरता फक्त JJचेच नाही तर इतर सर्व मेडिकल कॉलेजची मुलं अगदी आवर्जून तिथे उपस्थित राहायचे आणि किंबहुना ते तिथे हिरिहिरीने जायचे की नाही मला गेलं पाहिजे, मी अटेंड केलं पाहिजे. नो डाऊट ही वॉज अ बॉर्न टीचर अँड इट्स अ रिअली what you call a rare to have a born teacher and be great clinician and great lovable person. He was a voracious reader. He was always surrounded by books and journal in his office and in his personal library at home. And he just enough room for him to sit in between the loads of reference material spread all over. मला तर माहित नाही, पण त्यांचे शिष्य सांगतात की सरांच्या रूम मध्ये इतकं काही असं सगळं पडलेलं राहायचं की सर कुठे आहेत बघण्याकरता लिटरली असं बघावं लागायचं सर कुठे आहेत म्हणून. And at every scientific meeting and conference he would attend every lecture आणि ते त्यातनं नोट्स काढायचे आणि ते प्रत्येक नोट्स ते लिहून ठेवायचे, प्रत्येक त्यांचे छोट्या छोट्या पॉइंट ते लिहून ठेवायचे. असं म्हणतात की तेव्हा ते जेव्हा नोट्स लिहायचे ते सगळं नोट्स त्यांच्या पुस्तकांमध्ये टाकून ठेवायचे आणि त्यांचं पूर्ण जे त्यांची जी रूम होती ते पूर्ण पुस्तकांनी भरले राहायची आणि त्या पुस्तकामध्ये अर्ध तर पुस्तक प्रिंटेड राहायचं पण बाकी सगळ्या त्याच्यात नोट्स राहायच्यात. असं त्यांचं हे होतं. He was a prolific researcher and had several original contributions which have been often quoted internationally. आपल्या सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे Everyone knows his great work, a phenomenal work on tubercular meningitis. And आपल्या सगळ्यांना त्यांचं प्रोटोकॉल्स वगैरे आपण सगळे माहिती आहेत. Enthusiasm and devotion to science was his stronghold that would be impossible to match. He was workaholic and continued to put in almost 14 ते 16 तास सर non-stop काम करायचे. He was full-time professor with very busy private practice. As a full-time professor, he was supposed to work at 4 hours, but Udani sir never left the department till late in the evening, only to reach his private office at odd hours and still attend a large number of patients who would throng his private office coming from far and wide. सर म्हणायचे की मी फुल टाइमर नाही आहे, मी होल टाइमर आहे, असं सर नेहमी आवर्जून त्यांना सांगायचं. आणि थकलेल्या सर कधी असं बघितलेच नाही. ही वॉज सो एन्थुझियास्टिक. शिकवणं सायन्स या बाबतीत ही वॉज व्हेरी एन्थुझियास्टिक. You always say jokingly that he's not full-timer professor, but a whole-timer. I'm sure every cell in his body survived on science, and he breathed pediatrics till the end. While he was taskmaster, he was very loving to his students and always stood for them. Many students, they tell about this. His colleagues recall social evenings in his house every year, where one could see different hues of the person as he played harmonium and made everyone at peace. सरांचा हा दुसरा पण पहिलू खूप छान होता. As a typical scientist, he lived in a scientific mess, obvious of the surroundings, and one could read a caption in his drawing room that said, "If you feel my house is untidy, this is in the best shape at present." असं सरांचं हे होतं, कारण की पूर्ण रूम्स मध्ये त्यांच्या नुसतं पुस्तकं, रेफरन्स बुक्स आणि नोट्स असं पडलेलं राहायचं. दिस फोटो शोज ज्या वेळेला सरांना RD बिर्ला अवॉर्ड मिळाला होता, आणि त्याला त्यासोबत अनेक पुरस्कार त्यांना मिळालेले आहेत, अनेक त्यांचे रिसर्च पेपर्स पब्लिश झालेले आहेत. अँड लास्टली, आय पे माय हंबल ट्रिब्यूट टू अ मॅन हु वॉज अन एक्स्ट्रॉर्डिनरी पर्सन ॲज एक्सेल्ड ॲज अ सायंटिस्ट, क्लिनिशियन, टीचर, medical practitioner, and of course, above all, a very, very good human being. So this is all, and I pay my tribute to late Dr. PM Udani sir. I request audience to please stand for a minute to pay tribute to late Dr. PM Udani sir. Thank you very much.
थँक्यू सर. आजचे व्याख्याते डॉक्टर महेश मोहिते सर चं परिचय करून देणं ही एक केवळ औपचारिकता आहे, पण प्रथेनुसार ती करायची आहे. मी थोडक्यात सुरू करतो. डॉक्टर महेश मोहिते सर is honorable pediatric intensivist, BJ Wadia Children's Hospital, Mumbai, and he is a director of Sai Child Care Clinic, New Panvel. Then he is MD DCH. He's both undergraduation and post-graduation. He's from Grand Medical College, Mumbai. His special interest as pediatric intensive care, neonatal intensive care, and teaching postgraduate students. Clinical experience, he has vast experience of 31 years, and he owns a tertiary care exclusive pediatric hospital of 70 beds at Panvel, Raigad. And he is an honorary pediatric intensive care specialist at BJ Wadia Children's Hospital since last 7 years. He is a teacher examiner for pediatric postgraduate courses. He is a council member of Indian Academic Pediatrics Intensive Care Chapter, and is a teacher for fellowship programs in pediatric intensive care. And MCI recognized teaching experience he has, and he has a thorough academic profile of being in faculty for national and state pediatric conferences for more than 20 years. He is a faculty for World Federation Pediatric Critical Care 2018, published many case reports and part of many studies, including recent multicentric study, MISC, contributed chapters to many books, mainly on intensive care, trainer for many IIP modules, and he's a grassroots IIP worker. He's a former president of Raigad IIP. He has been executive EB member for CIIP in 2018-20. He has been a past secretary of intensive care chapter, president-elect, and most importantly, in this next year, he is a president-elect for intensive care chapter 2022. He's a thorough social worker also. He is a founder trustee of Bharatiya Manav Vikas Trust, runs a school for mentally handicapped children for last 20 years in Panvel. He's the first of its kind in Raigad district. Please have a grand round of applause for this social activity. Then he's a member of Rotary International NGO, involved in many important social projects for NGO. With this, I think this is a very brief introduction that sir has sent to me, but it's okay. We will go ahead with it. And I request Dr. Mahesh Mohite sir to come on stage for delivering this prestigious citation. Welcome, sir.
It's a touching moment. It's a journey which is for 31 long years. And at the name of this great human being, a teacher, looking at whom my teachers grew up and developed. And looking at him, or rather listening to our teachers about him, we grew up and developed, matured. I think they have put the seeds to what we could develop over the years. Our president, I'm sorry, just get emotional. Jan sir has said so much about Dr. Udani sir. First of all, I really thank you for giving me this honor. This is perhaps the biggest achievement of my life. An astute clinician. In fact, I have been listening to Dr. Ambedkar sir, Rajesh. I call him Rajesh, I'm sorry. It's a habit. And he used to diagnose seeing the children by their faces, the way they sit, the way they cry. And just now somebody told me a very crying child comes to his OPD, used to touch and the child used to stop crying. So he was a magician. I don't think many of us are of that kind. So much to achieve. Rajesh is like that. So no saying that Rajesh is like that. Excellent. And it comes from there perhaps. A great researcher, and we have been talking about resource limitation. Look at what they had 50 years ago. I mean, nothing as compared to what we have, but he had the research in neurotuberculosis with a dissection section with Dr. Dorab Dastur, postmortem dissection of the brain, and they used to correlate those findings with the clinical, and that's how he made multiple publications, and those work is taken as a landmark research kind of references by WHO and many others, and it's there in multiple books. His work in diarrhea and malnutrition is exemplary. It's a landmark research of those years, which we have been. I mean, he used to say that even a walking patient could be having TBM, a CSF come positive. So those are things we used to hear about him. A great teacher. A testimony to a great teacher is the students he produces. Dr. B.S. Singhal, the biggest neurologist of Mumbai. Dr. N.B. Kumtha, our own Dr. Y.K. Ambedkar, he was his student. Dr. Ashok Sarnaik at Detroit, and we have a great student here, Dr. Rajesh Udani. And he has students all over the globe. So the level of students he produced speaks about the kind of teachership he mentored. Workaholic and voracious, you already said, and Dr. Ambedkar used to say that he used to work for 12 to 18 hours, or used to work till 7 o'clock in JJ Hospital. He was a full-timer, and you know how the full-timers they work. So he used to work beyond those times, and after that he used to go to his private clinic and used to work till late midnight. And I don't know when he used to find time to read, because we had all the excuses in this generation, including me, for not doing that kind of a reading. But then that's where he was different from most of us. Voracious reader, a great leader, because he joined JJ somewhere in 33s, 14th, sub 40s, right? And then I think 1953 became a HOD. And for next more than 20 years, he was HOD. In that time, it was recognized as Institute of Child Health, which was recognized for pediatric training for the Asian students. And when I was in JJ, I still recall so many of African students, Malaysian students, they used to be there. And we don't know where this student coming from, how they now I realized they were the students which are recognized because of ICH. So that was kind of work. And most important, he believed that indigenous problems should have indigenous solutions. So why an American should teach me tuberculosis when he don't see? When a diarrhea is taught by the Americans to us. So he wanted to have all the solutions of our indigenous, which can be practiced here. Just now we had a debate on evidence and experience. And Pramod said evidence is created there and is being used here. Perhaps to some extent it's right, because many times we do find that it's not practical here. And that's what he was. He was creating all those evidences here. I'm not getting the pump, sorry. So he was talking about those, creating those evidence applicable to our population. So taking that string further, I'm going to take my today's oration topic. That's bridging the rural-urban gap, a pediatrician's diary. Friends, actually, it's not me, it's all of us, or many of us, who started in the rural area. My friend, Dr. Dabadkar, keeps saying a grassroots pediatrician. Hemant is there. I have been talking about Dr. Baramati, Dr. Mokashi sir. There's one more in Dr. Baheti sir at Washim. And there's so many. My Ramakant Patil, then Sanjay Doshi and Abba Patankar and Rajendra, and so many Raigad pediatricians. They all started from there. I'm privileged to have representation of all those pediatricians who started from the rural area and how they have been going through all this and how they grew. And perhaps this can be some kind of a, I would say, guidance or some kind of a inspiration for the new coming pediatricians to go to the periphery, because someday they will create the urban area there, and how that can be created. So aim is to guide the new generation, the students. In the flow of lecture, sometimes unknowingly I may say, I did this, I did that. Mind you, it's not for self-promotion. It's to consider, please consider it as part of the flow of the lecture. It's not for self-promotion, because it's almost like narrating our 30-year journey. So this is what, when I entered Panvel 1990, 31 years ago, that same, this was our identity. You go on internet and say Panvel, you will see this board 31 years ago. The same background picture in the monsoon and the International Airport Board. And this is what we used to say then. I remember my first pyogenic meningitis neonate, which we admitted for almost 24 days, all of them on a scalpel because angiocats were not available then. That's what we started with. Scorpion stings used to die, almost 50% of them due to pulmonary edema, because no remedy available till the time Dr. Bavaskar put his landmark research. But still, no ventilators to manage these pulmonary edemas, and they used to come late, and in spite of treatment, they used to die. Low birth weight baby, quite well ended, sometimes 1500, was a high risk. The survival was not that great. Our diagnosis of chronic empyema many times used to get AKT empirically, and diagnosis of Cox used to rest predominantly on X-ray and chest and 1-2, which is now getting extinct. Of course, thanks to the research that all these Cox researchers have done. I remember then used to be a Dombivli fever. The resistant enteric had just started and went on for another 10 years. That's where chloroquines came into market, and that's where ceftriaxone established subsequently. So those were the days. Investigation available then was just basic CBC, urine, CSF in a fixed time, again, not very reliable. Forget the ABG, leaflet and all, they were not available nearby. They used to go to either Vashi or to Mumbai. Only chest X-ray and USG was available. CT scan, even for a head injury, we'll have to send the patient to Vashi, or not even Vashi, Mumbai we used to send the ambulance. I still remember few of the patient convulsed, few of the patient coned on the way, and few of them died. So that was the kind of a status, no MRI. At that time, MRI was not there in Mumbai also. As far as management, we used to have routine indoor practice in a kind of a general hospital. No ICUs, no PICUs, no subspecialty, no therapy, high-risk clinics, no pediatric surgeon. So general surgeon used to give whatever emergency work, but even the emergency work used to stop after 8 o'clock. So at night, nothing available, no blood bank. Roads conditions were so bad, nothing was possible, especially in monsoon seasons, it was really miserable. Oxygen then we used to buy from Mumbai. So you used to send your own vehicle, pick up those 10 cylinders from Mumbai, and all. I mean, at night, suddenly, people face the oxygen misery in this COVID. They know what it means. And that we have faced then for years. No safe patient transport. So you have a bad patient, you don't have place to transport, you don't have vehicle to transport. If there's bad patient, you have to take the patient, intubate, take him to Mumbai. If there is some place, he's lucky. If he's not, he's dead. That was a story. Public hospitals in the local area almost not functioning. Your vaccines to those days used to be a kind of a shortage, and no facility. Forget the emergency work, even the day-to-day work was not available. That's where we started. Where are we after 30 years? The board still stands there. The background is slightly changed. I'm still waiting for that flight to land. Perhaps hopefully my grandson will see that. I really don't know. Where are we on a medical front? Just to enumerate that, a case which we did last year. This was a 10-year-old boy brought with 9-year rather, abdominal pain 36 hours, referred as acute. My friend Sunil had sent it from Sunil Shet from Mahad. Referred as acute pancreatitis. Diagnosed as pancreatitis because amyloids were 3,000, lipase were 5,000. Patient came late night at 8 a.m. Mind you, traveled for almost 2.5, 3 hours. This was the X-ray. There are air fluid levels, paralytic ileus was there. He was in hypotensive shock, abdominal distension, tense. He was pale. He was pushed with boluses. He was given adrenaline infusion. Blood cultures and rest of the labs were sent. We started a broad spectrum for him. 3 hours later, he was arranged to send a CT, which is quite close by within a range of 2 kilometers. And we have a transport system. So safely took for CT. At 12:30, CT abdomen says mild pancreatitis. The picture doesn't match with what we clinically see, a bad sick child and a mild pancreatitis. His counts were showing just about borderline platelet rest okay. Lipase amylase to surprise of 350 and 524, not fitting with the clinical picture again. Serum creates had started rising. At 2 o'clock at night, he deteriorates further, becomes shocky again. Now, mind you, on a clinical background of pancreatitis, which says that you don't have to explore the patient in acute scenario as far as possible. But a picture probably doesn't fit into severe acute pancreatitis because CT showing almost normal. Amylase lipase are borderline raised. He was again resuscitated with more fluids, inotropes on central lines, arterial lines, mechanical ventilator, invasive monitoring, point of care, functional echo. Everything has been done within the next 2 years. I'm talking about a gap of 30 years. That's what is changed. At 3:30, child developed refractory shock. On complete inotropic support, adrenaline 0.3, noradrenaline, everything has been tried. We decided to explore this patient. 5 a.m., he is on OT table with a senior pediatric surgeon, anesthesiologist, monitoring the support. Very high risk has been explained. Whole small bowel gangrene was noticed. Relook surgery at 36 hours. Bowel is not recovering, so total resection of small bowel. Shock was stabilized after surgery. He was closed and that bowel has to be removed. He was revived, he stabilized, and then was transferred for bowel transplant. That's what just now Dr. Gaurav Chobar talked about. They did a transplant after another 5 months, and the child after 1.5 years is bang normal. Seemingly rural center 30 years ago has achieved what an advanced tertiary center can do today. Have we bridged the gap? That's what we wanted to ask. This child, I'm sure this kind of cases happen everywhere in the periphery. COVID has shown us so many things. I'm sure it's a great thing that a transplant surgeon has saved, but his child won't have survived had that 24 hours or those 12 hours were not taken care of. At a late midnight, from 8 till next 8 was a dream. And even the best possible, I'm Sunu madam is here. They will agree that even in the best possible centers, this was a good job done. And that was possible. That's what perhaps the gap is probably bridged. Now, what is available at Taluka level today? We have radiology available everywhere. Even MRI centers are there. And if not, then telemedicine is easily available. So you can get every facility. Pathology, microbiology. Just now we had that advanced investigation. You're talking about PCRs and all. Everywhere it is available now. They are giving that outsourcing kind of things. Genetics, metabolics, they're available everywhere. Subspecialty. What I'm saying is, what is possible? So it's up to you till what extent you want to grow. Subspecialty opinions, I'm going to talk about that, but they are possible. Intensive care, again, those are some hitches. What probably is not possible and what probably should not be done or should not be tried in the peripheries, something like super specialty surgeries, the transplants, they require multi-specialty, cross-specialty resources, which may not be possible at peripheral district and taluka. And for that, the metropolis cities will be always the right place to do. Why we have this rural-urban gap? Why we have it? You won't be surprised to see this picture in the periphery. the farmer lady having that smartphone in her and she's talking to her son in US. And this is not unusual. But at the same time, this is also not unusual in my periphery. Those who are working in Konkan belt, when the scorpion is stung at night, this is how they are transported. A snake bite is transported like this. And I'm sure this person who is walking, he must be having a cell phone in his pocket. But unfortunately, you don't have a vehicle to transport this dying patient. Why this discrepancy? Simply because development is discrepant and sectoral. This don't have incentive, the industrial incentive, and this has all industrial incentive. That's a problem. The priorities are different. Unfortunately, priorities are not equivalent, they are different. That's where the whole problem starts. And these are our problem. This is national problem. And perhaps our problem, as Dr. Udani sir said, we have to solve our own problems. That's what we have to do. Dr. Abhay Bang doing such a huge work in Gadchiroli. With his efforts, they have reduced the infant mortality rate to less than the national infant mortality rate. This was 2017 figure when the NMR of national level, IMR of national was 39, Gadchiroli was having 29, rate less by 10. But there is only one Abhay Bang. There may be few at pockets. How this whole country is going to cater, how is whole country going to get at? So why the rural-urban gap? We need to understand this dynamics. India is having population of 1.4 billion. June 21 figure it is. Rural-urban distribution is rural population almost twice the urban population. The sanitary facilities exactly ulta. Half the sanitary facility. So that's where the basic problem starts. Facilities are disproportionately supported and they do create a lot of diseases. Literacy is lacking. Worst problem, we have limited GDP allocated to healthcare. It's only 1.5%, where WHO says it should be at least 5%. Look at the developed countries, what they spend, almost 10% in UK and 16% in US. India presently 1.5%, projected to spend by 2025, 2.5%. So when that happened, and perhaps that also wouldn't have happened. Now with COVID, they've realized this lot of problems in the healthcare. So they have pumped in some extra finances. And we are aiming to reach 2.5 of the GDP by 2025, wherein the developed country is almost doing 4 times spending more than even neighboring Pakistan spent 3% GDP, and we are at 1.5% today. With that, we have reached our IMR to 28 or 29%, where the developed world has about 2 to 9% of IMR. That's where we stand. Somebody said we are developing country or developed. I think these are the numbers that tell us where we stand today. When we talk about healthcare manpower, where do we stand? The doctor population ratio of WHO is recommended is 1 in 1,000. We have exactly half of it. We lag by almost 2 million nurses. This is Indian Nursing Council report 2017. We lag by 2 million nurses, official report. We don't know whether this peak of the iceberg. The national NRHM report, yesterday Upendra talked about so much about it. We have 700 million population, 70 crore, which is staying in 636,000 villages. 2/3 of the population has no access to critical care. 31%, 1/3 of them have to travel all more than 30 kilometers to seek a health care. Majority deaths due to preventable common diseases, diarrhea, pneumonia, measles, and critical shortage of trained manpower. 8% of the primary health centers don't have doctors. These are official figures from NRHM. The rural-urban gap due to huge demands, inadequate supply, and probably the prioritization to urban population. Why I'm giving all this data? I'm sure all of us are bugged with this data and strategy because it doesn't really help. Does it really help us? We need to understand this. The healthcare services, if I had to divide, these are 4 more headings: the preventive healthcare, the immunization and nutritional supplementation, the basic healthcare, that is the maternal health and child health, the delivery system, vaccine preventable disorders, the diarrheas, the pneumonias, subspecialty services and emergency services. Of this, the government priorities toward these 2 sections. The public domain has these 2 sections, preventive. And when I went through the NRHM number, The parameters are almost equal when it comes to rural and urban, when it comes to preventive and basic health care. So they are prioritizing and they are getting result there. But what is left is these two other, where somebody becomes suddenly sick in the periphery, there is no facility in the periphery. If he requires a super specialty services, there is no facility there. So this is perhaps left to the private care domain. This is one thing we have huge role to play, because preventive and basic government is really doing well. Public health sector is really doing quite well. In the periphery, there is good facility for delivery system, good facility for immunization. They are going home to home to cover the immunization. But these two are not having adequate supply. That's where I believe the public sector let it do his job, and our private sector perhaps require these two things to be covered. And that's where my talk is going to be, that how you're going to cover this. So perhaps it requires all efforts from the personal level as an individual or as a group. Friends, to fill up this gap, we need to construct a bridge, the rural-urban gap. We need to construct a bridge resting on multiple pillars. The pillars are essentially the thought processes for the cause. That's what I believe. So I have constructed probably 10 pillars, and that's what I'm going to narrate in next maybe about 25-30 minutes. So which are the gaps in the rural-urban healthcare? When we talk about private health sector, we have technology gap, which is availability of equipments and experts, and the services backup. The resource gap, the human resource is the biggest problem. The expertise and super specialty, and knowledge and information gap. Let's take about technology gap, about the labs and radiology. Is there any problem with the labs? There may be. I recall about 20 years ago, I started my ventilation in somewhere in 2000. I had just taken some basic training in various workshops, and I said people need it. And we had great difficulty in placing those ventilation patients in Mumbai, and my patient could not afford the corporate sector in Mumbai. So we said, let's start it. First hitch, we got a ventilator, but there is no ABG machine. There are 3 physicians ventilating in that area, but no ABG machine. So I talked to one of my pathologist friend, why don't you install it? He said, no, it costs about 3 lakh, 4 lakh. How do you, let's do 50-50. You know, you spend 50, I spend 50, and then we share it. I never knew this business, unfortunately. So I said, how much? Fine. So we took a loan and we took that iStat machine. We install it. What happened? Those 3 physicians who were sending the samples to Vashi, Mumbai, those samples started coming to me, and my machine was recovered. Now I'm talking about business, but that what it happened, it was never kind of presumed or expected. You can develop it if your pathologist cannot. You should do it if you really want to grow in the rural area. Radiology. CT scan centers are available in every corner. Thanks to COVID, 300 CT scan machines are installed in last 2 years in Maharashtra state. And now they are going to go idle because COVID is gone. I don't know what they're going to do with CT scans. But they are available in my small place, New Panvel part. There are 2 CT scans in last 6 months. I don't know why they came. But it is available. MRI is available in almost every district place. So radiology is not a problem. What perhaps is a hitch is emergency and ICU facility. I believe it is a mental block. It's a mental block in most of us. We have a huge scope. One single thing I realized, the most effective critical care interventions are the least resource demanding. They are more technique demanding than the technology dependent. Madam Sunu Udani is there, my mentor in intensive care. She will believe the earliest detection, recognizing a sick child, a shocked child, push a bolus early, give him oxygen, collect his blood culture, give antibiotic. I'm sure you can stop the progress in many of the patients. So recognizing a sick child, hygienic care, hand washing, preventing nosocomial infections, ensuring and stabilizing the airway. So you get a snake bite child, before transferring, give him the SV, intubate the child, transfer him, he is alive. People are scared, लेके जाओ कि रास्ते में मरता है वो, 2 घंटे के अंदर मरता है. He starts from there alive and comes to me dead. That's something which is preventable. But technique is far more important than technology. And that can save almost 60, 70, 80% of those. And that's the starting point for everybody. So it's technique dependent more than technology dependent. Providing oxygen, bolus of isotonic fluid, early institution of antibiotics, safe transport. Simple things. It's very difficult. It's very easy. It's not costly as well. So when I realize what you essentially need is a good CPR kit, If you don't have oxygen available, oxygen concentrator, which can give 5 liters or 10 liters of oxygen per minute, simple medicines, and what's more important, good advanced life support training, which is provided by the IIP so frequently, and some experience in ICU work. Those who are venturing to get into the rural area, I urge, go back to some ICU, work for at least 3 months, and you have enough experience to take care of all those emergencies. And when you start working, start taking more and more challenging cases, and you reach. So friends, the first pillar of this bridge is 2 T's. Learn the basic technique of emergency care and establish a safe transport for the critical children. Those 2 things will start your, I would say, journey towards bridging this gap. I recall this case in my early practice. This somewhere maybe 96, 97. A 6-year-old boy, a known case of nephrotic syndrome, was admitted for suspected spontaneous bacterial peritonitis, was waiting for investigations in the ward. Suddenly crashed, became pulseless. My colleague was there. Then Prasanna used to be there with me. Intubated, CPR started. ECG showing ventricular fibrillation rhythm. No defibrillator. We didn't have defibrillator. We didn't have formal ICU. So we did CPR. We arranged this defibrillator from neighboring physician's hospital in next 30 minutes. Till then time, intubation, umbuing, CPR is going on. On an 8th shock, or something like 7th, 8th shock with 8 joule per kg, 320 for the child reverted. Potassium was 6.8. That was the reason for his arrest. He was transferred to the physician hospital after that, and we only managed that patient. We learned our lesson. And what was the lesson? That's my pillar number 2, the essentials. In the rural practice, life-saving equipment is not a luxury. Whatever you feel is going to save life, you have to install immediately. I'm going to talk about the cost subsequently. But yes, if you really want to grow, if you want to give service, if you want to bridge this gap, whatever essential, may it be defibrillator, may it be ventilator for that matter, maybe short duration ventilation, yes, we'll have to install it immediately. Another case, slightly later, 6 months baby, taken for tendo Achilles release surgery under short GA. When we are closing the last part, he suddenly desaturated and would not come out. We had a good anesthetist that time. He intubated because he was under short GA, ketamine was given. But then he started desaturating. He intubated the child with 100% oxygen. Intubation, ventilation, no response. Clinically, no clues. X-ray was back normal. Echo facility was not available then. Then, when Dr. Anil Poddar, adult cardiologist, used to come to Panvel and visit and help us out, we didn't know what's happening. So we called him. He could reach after 4 hours. Patient till then was, by that time we had a ventilator. He was stuck to ventilator. And mind you, this was a big Sarpancha son after 4 daughters. You can see that scenario, 100 people standing outside. Thanks. Dr. Anil Poddar came. He did the echo. It was a pink fallows who had gone into spasm. No way we could diagnose without these modalities. We learned our second lesson. The cardiologist and required facilities. If I have to run the ICU, I cannot get away without an echo. But who is going to do the echo? I have to do the echo. I have to learn it. That's how we ventured into the next echo machine. I'm saying again, I'm repeating, it's not for promotion. It's just to perhaps inspire my junior colleagues, those who are going to out. They will be working in institution. Mind you, those are the opportunities given to learn the techniques which perhaps you will never get again. Most of the advanced ICUs in Mumbai or Metropolis are having bedside echo. Learn it. That's the future. Unfortunately, PCPNDT is a temporary block. But yesterday only I heard an Indian report that the surprise number that the girl child number is gone to 1,020 as compared to 1,000. So India is improving. So perhaps that rule also may go off. So get the knowledge, get the technique. Echo is the future. All of us clinicians will have to know the bedside echocardiography. That's going to be used more often than the stethoscope. Another child was a preterm 1 kg, 29 weaker. Ensure was done CPAP for 1 week. On day 20, child developed features of NEC, distension, platelet going down. Baby was kept NBM. PICC line inserted from saphenous vein and TPN was started for him. 4 days later, child developed severe respiratory distress suddenly and muffled heart sounds. We got an X-ray, which are showing obvious cardiomegaly. Again, the bedside echo, and this was echo. And you can see a severe pericardial effusion, a tamponade. Probably the line had got through RA into the pericardial cavity and he had developed tamponade. Now, this is possible only if you have an in-house. Can't wait for the cardiologist for this kind of a child. He comes after 2 hours, 3 hours, the baby is gone. And you don't know what's happening. You can't empirically put in a needle in a 1 kg child. So that's the way. We removed almost 30 ml of fluid, which was a TPN fluid. And a baby settled down in 2 weeks and we could send the baby intact. And I'm following that baby. And it's doing absolutely okay. So time is important. And that time and that kind of a resuscitation is possible only if you have that technology with you. So pillar 3 of my bridging the gap is know your future demands. You'll have to build them. So to progress, be futuristic, visualize the future demands, install them as soon as possible. I'm not saying today or tomorrow, as soon as possible, learn them. Every first has a distinct advantage. Who knows who climbed Everest second, but I definitely know Edmund Hillary. I definitely know Neil Armstrong. I don't know the second person. I read in my early books. You have a distinct advantage when you are the first, and take that advantage wherever you start practicing. That's how the case demands went on and on. We started with HFNC, we started with BiPAP, the ventilations, the bedside EEGs, and when you have these facilities, you start taking more and more challenging cases. You start getting more results. You start improving. And unknowingly, the things are improving. वो मेला चलता जाया, कुछ बोलते हैं ना उसमें कि कारवा चलते गया, वो कारवा चलते गया, and just went on, and there was no end to it. You don't know. So that's almost happened in the neonate, and you can see this 500 grammer which was there, and cooling machines and what. And we had this privilege of saving 580 grammer with a ductus ligation in our center. This is almost 10 years ago. The girl is normal. She's from Alibag, health worker's daughter. Somebody met him yesterday in the outside. Rajesh, yeah. Sunil was telling that girl's father met him here, and that girl is doing well. She's 10 years old now. So that's the privilege, the PD and the neonate preterm baby. So what I meant to say, how it happens. It happens. It doesn't, you don't decide it. Just keep on progressing. Take one baby steps ahead. You get results. You put one more step ahead, get results, add more machine. Now I have got status epilepticus. I should have EEG. I have something more. I add something, or bante gaya. While doing so, I'll talk about the finances. Finances, I believe, are the byproducts of whole thing. This is another case to day 2 meconium aspiration syndrome, severe pulmonary hypertension, not improving with conventional ventilation, inotrope, sildenafil. He was transferred to Kokilabin Hospital then because they had a nitric oxide. My colleague went with him and he showed dramatic improvement to inhaled nitric oxide. Right? We had one more stimulus. This is something. Now, how many times we use that machine? Maybe 5 or maybe max 10 times a year. But that saves life. That saves life. I think life is far more precious than whatever we spend. So next question, this was high frequency nitric oxide was installed then. So the question commonly asked by my junior, sir, itna to sab dalte ho, paisa recover ho jayega? Is it cost effective? Is the recovery possible? I am sure all of us must be thinking how this can be possible. I believe there are a lot of collateral gains. When I initially installed the ventilation, I used to get a lot of babies referred for ventilation, but half of them not requiring ventilation. They would settle down with maybe plain oxygen or maybe BiPAP or CPAP. Don't require. So referral increases, which collects, which gathers. So same thing with nitric oxide. You could save this extraordinary saves. I think they will definitely pay you off. So the 4th pillar, don't get into this egg first or chick first trap. पहले काम बनाएंगे, ज्यादा काम देखेंगे, फिर मशीन लाएंगे. ऐसा नहीं होता है. I don't believe in that. आपको लगा इसकी जरूरत है, आप इंस्टॉल करो, काम बढ़ते ही जाता है. काम बढ़ते ही जाता है. And believe me, today after almost 30 years of practice with having so many equipments, I don't remember any of my machine has not paid me off. I haven't made any profits on them, but at least I have not lost. So cost effectiveness, the hurdle in positive thoughts process. I think it's the biggest hurdle. Collateral advantages, think of that. Need based, then cost, recovery based. So my patient need it, I'll get it. I'm sure those who are doing, I have my friends in Dr. Lakshman Bidri and Bijapur. I have to recall because these are my idols. Dr. Nirmal Chauradia in Surat. These guys have done such a wonderful job over the year where they started and where they are. Perhaps they haven't thought of cost. Okay, today they may be getting it, but they went on and on and on. That's how. मराठीत एक शब्द आहे गोळाबेरीज. पु ल देशपांडेचं पुस्तक आहे ते. तर गोळाबेरीज म्हणजे तुम्ही प्रत्येक गोष्टीतला प्रॉफिट विचार करू नका. तुमच्याकडे 20 पेशंट आहेत ना, दे आर गिव्हिंग इनफ. ते एक मशीन पडून राहिलं काही फरक पडत नाही. पण त्या आलेल्या 100 मधला एक वाचला ना, तो आणखी 10 आणतो. सो गेट इन टू दॅट माइंडसेट. यू डोंट लूज एनिथिंग. यू विल नेव्हर लूज एनिथिंग. गोळाबेरीज तुम्ही नेहमी प्रॉफिटच असाल. मेडिकल प्रोफेशन इज सो प्रिव्हिलेज. आय डोंट नो ऑफ एनी डॉक्टर हू वेंट इन टू लॉसेस बिकॉज ऑफ प्रोफेशन. This is perhaps only profession where you never go into losses. So get out of that mindset of profit and benefit, profit and loss business. You will be at any point of time in losses. Anybody in the hall is having any losses? I'm sure there is nobody. So get out of that mindset. If you really want to grow, get out of that mindset. At the same time, a caution. In rural area, don't buy the machine that you don't know how to run yourself. To get a trained manpower to run that machine, I know of a person who installed ventilator because he got an intensivist. He installed the whole ICU. It's not in Maratha, somewhere else. He spent almost 1 crore. And after 2 months, the intensivist left. The whole thing has to be locked down because the fellow didn't know how to run the ventilator. Don't do that mistake. So learn the technology yourself, then buy it. And then you can hire the expertise. Even if he leaves, the machine is not going to be, your patient won't suffer. So follow this process. I have to speak about resource gap, the human resources, which is very limiting factor. And look at this report, the human resources for health. It's related to health workforce in India. And this is as early as fresh as 2021 March. What does it say? Look at this column particularly, nurses and midwives. Our requirement. This is the present status. The total reported nurses, the trend ones, of all the available nurses, only 50% nurses are trained ones in the rural and urban area. Qualified ones, trained and qualified. When I say trained, it's a qualified one. What is the future? We are looking at a population over next 10 years. We are having 1.4 billion today. In 2030, it's going to be 1.5 billion. This is the projected skilled health workers by that time. 1.7 million will go to 2.6 million. And look at the last column. Even after 2030, we will be short by 1.13 million. So there is, and where this gap, those trained ones will be going to urban areas. I'm sure the corporate sector today also has difficulty in retaining those qualified trained nurses. They come, they get offered to Middle East, they get offered to Europe, they flick away. To keep them is extremely difficult. How do we solve that problem? If you get a trained one, you take it. But if you don't train one, get a trained one, then what? Trained manpower is near impossible to get in the rural area. Adapt to local resources, groom them to unit needs, develop pivotal staff in each department who will develop long-term loyalty to you. Understand no one is complete. You don't expect complete 100%. Yes, you train them. You put that effort, not only money, the effort to train them. So recruit the trainable one, train them and retain them. I think the last column is extremely important. Once you train them, you retain them. Many times the plan is, अरे इसको तो qualified नहीं है, इसको तो salary 5,000 में बैठ जाएगा. You know, that's very problematic. So training the nursing courses. The second is important. If you offer peanuts, you will get monkeys. One of my friends told me this saying is so apt to it. If you give peanuts, you will, because that nurse will flick away. Okay, so pay to her capability, pay to her skills, not to her qualification in the rural area. That same nurse after 10 years, 20 years is a big asset to you. To respect responsibility and sense of belongings. So my chief nurse in my hospital, she can fire me also. I've given that authority. Once I give that authority, my residents, my consultant, everybody's scared of her. She's a nice chief nurse working with me for almost 26 years. That kind of loyalty you need to develop. And those who are scared of the law, the Association of Medical Consultants, insurance, including non-qualified paramedics. They take your hospital insurance, including your non-qualified paramedical. So it's safe. I think that's the way our peripheral pediatricians can go about. This is our staff. And what I told you about Anita, she's working with me for last almost 27 years. She trains my juniors. She's a 10th pass girl. I have no difficulty in saying that. She's a 10th pass girl, but she's the most dependable one. And then she has trained another at least 50 nurses under her. So that's kind of a people. And that's the only way we can grow in the periphery. I don't know which qualified nurse would have stayed with me for 30 years like that. So human resources, select trainable staff, train them to your needs, retain them, and they are the key to success. Gap of expert. How do you get those facilities? So friend, now DM, DNB fellowship programs are there and many experts are available. So call them to your periphery, give them the free kind of slots in your nursing homes. They're always asset to the things. Give them the opportunity and they will be always a value addition. Only problem is the support service, the audiology, OT, PT, speech therapy. They are very difficult to get in the periphery. We are lucky to get them and we could develop a team with them. COVID has changed life. I think COVID has made the teleconsultation legally valid. That's the biggest thing I think medically it has done. The other day, Dr. Raju Kupchandani in talk was saying, I have completed 3,000 consultations online. So it's available to your doorsteps. Use that. I'm sure we have in the COVID time, we have taken consultation from Dr. Rajesh Udani online. And all the super consultants now are available online. That's the biggest boom. So digital method is the biggest boom to close the rural-urban gap. We need to utilize it to the most efficacy. What makes the difference? I remember one of my Bombay colleagues saying that, अरे वो consultant के पास भेजा ना तो fantastic है, diagnosis करता है, treat भी करता है, लेकिन बाद में यार मेरा vaccine के लिए भी patient उधर ही जाता है, टूट जाता है तो क्यों भेजूं? Take the advantage. In a rural area, it never happens because patient has to come back to you. So send them, but then you have two ways of tackling this patient. When he comes back, either passively follow his instructions and give those ABCD to them, or learn more and more. So suppose today the gap is 10, next time it will be 8. I have taken 2 steps ahead, maybe 6, 2 steps ahead. There's no harm in becoming jack of all trades, but master of none. I don't mind. I am a jack of all trades, master of none. I don't mind saying that. But I am sure I have reached 60-70% of the knowledge in multiple fields. That's how you upgrade yourself. And what's wrong in that? Decide what way you want to go. So friends, the next pillar is technology. Telemedicine, digital technology is the essential part of future practice. Essential to fill up information and expertise gap. Knowledge and skill gap. It's easily filled up in a digital area. But those who are planning to go to periphery, I urge them to go through IIP, ALS, NRP and master it. It's very essential. I urge them to work in some good intensive care unit for at least 3 to 6 months so that they can tackle all the emergencies. That's where you have to do it yourself. Otherwise, knowledge is available everywhere. Web lectures, conferences. Now traveling is also not mandatory. Hybrid conference is the rule by default now, by choice. Up to date, ebooks, everything is updated, available now. Question is how to retain so much of knowledge. You get so many things. You are bombarded with knowledge. How to retain it? Only way, implement it immediately. The day you learn, the day you find it, it is useful to you, very next day you start doing it. I see people attending bronchoscopy workshops. They come back and अभी बोलेंगे कितना आता है देखेंगे, बाद में 6 महीने के बाद चालू करेंगे, 6 महीने के बाद 9 महीना, जब तक भूल गया वापस कॉपी करो. And the scope by that time has costed from 5 lakh to 15 lakh and is gone. You have wasted your time. So choose the academic courses which you are definitely going to implement and have your finances ready for that. Then implement. I'll do ventilation workshop, but I'm never going to buy a ventilator. Why the hell I'm wasting my time? So when you take the knowledge, go for the course which you're going to implement very next day. Be prepared. If not next day, the next week. If not, then maybe next month. Do that. And second way, start teaching, start sharing the knowledge. That's the best way to retain the knowledge. Always wonder why Dr. Ambedkar still keeps on teaching. Perhaps this may be the reason he retains his knowledge, revises his knowledge. He is the best person in the field. The best person who gets advantage of a lecture is the orator itself. Because I keep revising my knowledge when I'm sharing with you or I'm sharing with my juniors or students. There was 3 months old baby, brought with fever off and on since 3 weeks and cough since 3 weeks. He was all right before this illness. There was uneven filled birth, referred from pediatrician. My pediatrician colleague, after almost 3 weeks of fever, referred it for hypoxia, respiratory distress. This was his X-ray. And you could see the lesions. the lytic lesion. You could see a strong bacterial count, and he had already used two sets of antibiotics. So what option I had? He had done a CT which showed right upper lobe bronchus partially obstruction. He had sent it to me for bronchoscopy. We did a scopy in this child, and this is what we saw. I have done my Scopy course almost 10 years ago, and by this time we have finished more than 500 Scopies, and it's a very routine thing nowadays. But I believe those who are in the periphery, I mean, this is just one odd example. What else you can add to you're ultimately adding those techniques to your armamentarium, which will take you few steps ahead of many. So this child, you can easily see the Scopy was done, the trachea was normal, the upper airway otherwise was normal, and at the carina, you can see that indentation on the carina. Okay, so X-ray was showing some odd shadow on the right side. There was indentation of the carina. Ball was done in this child, and ball grew. 3 months baby, endobronchial tuberculosis. So much weightage is given to the bacterial diagnosis today on Cox, and here was a diagnosis which once upon a time could have been an empirical diagnosis, or child will die without a diagnosis. And today it's possible. Another example, a neonate full-term normal delivery referred for increasing respiratory distress 3 hours after delivery. He needed intubation and mechanical ventilation, but we could not ventilate this properly because a lot of leak. You are wondering what's happening. This was the X-ray, you could see a huge gas in the stomach. So suspected whether it could be H-type. And that's what is this. You could see the H-type here. So this was the earliest diagnosed H-type fistula. At 12 hours, we had a diagnosis in hand, thanks to again the bronchoscopy. What I want to say, again reiterate, if you're going to learn some technique, implement it immediately. Stay 2 steps ahead. That's the way you can go about. So my 7th pillar, learn and apply immediately. Implement the new knowledge immediately. Applying knowledge and sharing is the best way of retaining knowledge for a long time. Active learning is the key to success. You stay to be student always. I think we have been learning and we'll be learning till the end, till when we don't know. Always stay connected to academics and its source. Every new case is stimulus to learning more, and teaching is the best way of learning, revising, retaining knowledge. So whenever possible, get an attachment, an academic attachment to an institute where you can continue to teach, continue to coordinate, continue to kind of communicate with the students. They are the best stimulus for increasing knowledge. Every teaching session, we used to have morning session, evening session, and I used to get extra points. In Vadia, I get so many extra points. So we have these presentations and we have bedside, EEG and all. These students are so brilliant. They ask you such cross questions, just note it down in your reminder. And while coming back on the home, you just read on that and you're added with 2-3 extra points in knowledge. Such again, last 7 years, I'm associated with Vadia, a brilliant, my own PGs. They ask you so varied questions. That's the best way of updating, upgrading, and retaining your knowledge. When you're working in the periphery, at times you feel helpless. Some patient is not improving, some patient is dying, you don't know what to do. That's where you want a helpline. Call a friend, call a guru. See to it that the guru is knowledgeable, available, and willing always. I was most privileged to be touched by this man. Whatever I am today is because of him. Thanks to him. We are really privileged to be born in this era around Mumbai, to be taught by this man. And those who are touched by this man, they will realize what I'm saying. They have changed lives. They have changed lives. They have changed my lives, and through me, they have changed hundreds, thousands of lives of children. That's the best way of human service. And of course, Dr. Udani sir is teacher of him, because Ambedkar sir always speaks. I have to thank all these gentlemen. Dr. Suhas Prabhu, 30 years I've been referring difficult cases to him. He teaches on every case. And best thing I like, such a knowledgeable fellow. But when you don't know, he honestly say, Mahesh, I don't know this. We'll work on this. Very few who say that I don't know. It's a very difficult word. In my experience, just now, Rishikesh said, Suhas Prabhu, I don't know. To say something I don't know at that seniority requires a lot of courage. Thanks to him. Rishikesh, I don't know whether he's still here or not. 1999 and 2000, this man taught me neonatology for 1 full year. Every Sunday I used to travel from Panvel. 8 to 1, we used to have neonatology round with Rishikesh. When he used to be off duty, he used to come and teach me in those 4 hours, 1 full year. Whatever I know today of neonatology is thanks to him. Brajesh Udani, one final point to any neurology problem. One last spot, final problem, final solution to every neurology. I admire his academics and his excellence. Madam Udani is there. She's my mentor in intensive care. I can proudly say that. She's my mentor in pediatric care. Uma Ali Madam, physiology, she's a pick of physiology. And whatever she says is absolutely academic excellence. And one of the best teachers I have seen. Sandeep Kadam is my man Friday over last few years with the neonatal problems. Whenever I call him, he'll pick up the phone in the second ring and he gives wonderful solutions to the problem. And what can I say about Nitin Shah? मुन्ना भाई है, उसको सब कुछ आता है. He has solution for everything. He has solution for everything and is willing to. So make your team of people who are going to help you. And I can't thank you less. Because you taught me convert the adversity into advantage. Look at last 2 years of COVID. Any president would have slept. This man rose from there. And he has created an era of IIP before Bakul Basavaraj and after Bakul Basavaraj. Without DIP now, IIP cannot go forward. Everybody should accept it. So thanks, Bakul. And I thank you on this big platform for the opportunity you gave me on DIP. Because I learned the most. Let me tell you, I am very opportunistic. I learned the most. Those 200, 300 talks which I conducted, I was the most beneficial person of it. So friends, the 8-number pillar is academics. Stay connected to academics right from beginning till end. Destination we don't know, but direction should be right. You don't know how much you will travel, but you should be in the right direction. The knowledge cycle continues. Increase your expertise and knowledge, gradually go into mentor's role. Encourage and empower juniors to bridge the gap. It has to be mass movement to have a mass effect. You alone cannot grow, you have to grow everybody along with that. Off late, whenever we call, I'm going to come to that. We have started, myself and Jay Bhandarkar is there. So we have started giving services to Panvel municipal corporations in ICU. We are developing an ICU. We are helping them to make that an ICU. So that's how we'll have to give that philanthropy so that everybody grows together. Unless the public system has to improve. We 1, 2, 4 people cannot do the change. They have to improve. So that's the way we can support our system. This is a case which Vinayak is there. Yeah. So Vinayak called me once, phone call from him. When does endocrinologist come? Right, Vinayak? He called me in the morning. Sir, endocrinologist kadi yetat? This was somewhere on Wednesday or Thursday. I said, आज तर नाही उद्या परवा येणार आहे पण काय रे काय प्रॉब्लेम आहे दिस इज आमची स्टाईल हल्ली म्हणजे I keep learning from their problems. So he started narrating the case. He described the case. So it's a 2 months old baby, vomiting for 3 days, poor weight gain. He was born with 2.8 kg and now he's 2.6 kg. He looks hyperpigmented. I'm suspecting congenital adrenal hyperplasia. काय करसले अरे काय रिपोर्ट सांग रे काय केलेस तू अजूनपर्यंत. Hemoglobin 8.5. Total count 8,900, 92% is neutrophil, 7% lymphocyte. Platelet count is 2.1 lakh. Electrolytes 136 sodium, potassium 4.2, chloride 96, and sugar is 96. So I asked him, "Are consanguinity aega?" "Oh sir, second degree." Parents were standing in front of him. He asked him, "Ha, second degree consanguinity. बाकी काय sibling death hai ka?" "Ha sir, 3 mahinacho baby gele tasa." Diagnosis was really kind of looking at you. You could see the lymphopenia on the background of it. It was scared looking at you. So much can be done on phone. And perhaps that's what we have, my Raigad colleagues will agree. Nowadays, we are solving many of the problems on phone. We are talking to them. I see to it that the patient stays with them. If it is inevitable, then you send it. Why the patient should suffer? And with that, they are getting so much of knowledge, experience. And that's how perhaps we can grow our whole population. So friends, at some point of time, we have to get into metamorphose into mentor's role. That's my pillar number 9. So over the time, get into mentor's role to encourage your colleagues to bridge rural-urban gap on mass scale. Another case, this was my initial days of practice, 1992. He was a 2-year-old tribal boy, measles bronchopneumonia. Was brought hypoxic to me. Then I didn't have my hospital. I was to admit in one of the direct nursing homes. He was admitted for 10 days and I was sleeping with the child literally for first 5 days. My initial days of practice, we used to do anything. My charges were 500 rupees then. The poor lady could not pay and I could not stop her. Almost 6 months later, this lady came to me at 7 a.m. knocked my door. I could not recognize her. She brought out 500 rupees. सर ये आपका पैसा है. मैं चलो किसका पैसा? वो सर आपने बच्चा बचाया. तो इतना दिन किधर थी? मैं सर कर्नाटका से हूँ, वापस गई. उधर हमारा फैमिली में झगड़ा हो गया, मेरा हस्बैंड का मर्डर हो गया, तो पैसा जमाने में थोड़ा टाइम लगा. Friends, poverty has honesty also. You have to faith in it. Look at the opportunity given to you to learn at no cost. This patient, when he's coming to you, he's submitting you. He's giving his whole child, the most precious child, to treat you. Just now, Dr. Pramod said, look at the golden money and charge. I do firmly believe that. Consider 10 to 20% is not yours. The life becomes very easy and simple. Life becomes absolutely simple. I'm sure we are working at almost 50% profit level when we work on a hospital. So ऐसा समझ के चलो 10-20% नहीं है तुम्हारा, साला हेडेक ही नहीं. उसको बोलो तुम वापस लाके दो, पेपर लेता है, ये करता है, वो करता है, doesn't matter. वो नहीं आया तो कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. God has given so much to you, it doesn't really matter. And I'm sure my Raigad colleagues will have, all of us, look at Abba, Raja, look at this Vinayak. They are doing so much of charity, Davarkar sir, years together. So much of work they are doing. So poverty has, and we need to take them. So friends, the next most important pillar is a charity. Work with charity. Our profession has maximum opportunity for charity. It gives immense opportunity to learning, helping with lots of blessings in return, and hence peace of mind. That's what we were, right? Ratri सगळं उरकून रात्री झोप शांत आली पाहिजे. That's the best day you have done. You recall whether something wrong. These are the 3 great gentlemen who have influenced Indian minds in last century. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar said, everyone is equal. I take it in a different perspective. May it be rural or a urban pediatrician, we are equal. I am learned from the same school. The same teacher taught me. I appeared for the same exam. I am having same potential. Where I am different. We have our advantages, disadvantages. It's all about, as Bakul Bhai said, convert your disadvantages into advantages. Gandhiji said, be the change you want to see in the society. So now I want to change this rural into urban. First, I should start thinking urban. I should be getting everything here. So my mentality need to change. And then Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam said, dreams are not the ones you see in sleep. They are the ones who don't let you sleep. Keep thinking of your passion. Keep thinking of pursuing your passion. Keep putting all your efforts. So you have burnt over 30 years into it. But I think it was very fruitful efforts. It's all about attitude and mindset. It's all about attitude. Wherever you are, never think you are inferior to anybody, at least in the profession. You can create. If you don't, then perhaps it's your fault. Perhaps it's not the way you have done. So be positive everywhere. So mindset and attitude is the most essential pillar of the bridge. My juniors keep asking me where to start from. Itna to sab kiya, lekin sir, शुरुआत किधर से करें? What is the destination? I've read autobiography of all these 9 gentlemen who are the great Indian personality who transformed India. This is one of the survey. Apart from Tata's, perhaps everybody started from a scratch. They were nowhere. They got some guru, or they pursued, they went on. So friends, what matters is how much distance you covered in the right direction. It doesn't matter where you started and where you reached. Medicine में किधर reach कर सकता है? कल नया रिसर्च आ रहा है और 2 साल के बाद और मशीन आ रहा है. You can't see the end. So keep on doing it in the right direction. That's the way. Don't think where you are going to reach. So all matters is how much distance. It's a graph which you need to see and follow. What it takes. It takes a lot of hard work. I do believe, and all of you will definitely agree. It takes extremes of passion. I like this word, Japanese word, ikakai. Few of you might have heard the word. Know yourself, know your passion, put all your efforts into that and you'll get the best results. When my friend Dr. Abasaheb Patankar gets a tribal baby of 1 month, who is respiratory failure, because the baby is not willing to go to any other place, to Panvel or anywhere, he intubates. He and his nursing team ambush that child for 7 days. He recovers the baby, is there in your souvenir. And the baby goes home smiling. That's your ikakai. That's your passion. That's your effort. I think that's a lot of hard work. But when the baby goes smiling and comes back for follow-up, smiling, grow normal, I think you have made the life. You have made the life. Extremes of desire to progress. मुझे सक्सेसफुल होने के लिए मुझे जरूरत होनी चाहिए, मुझे सक्सेसफुल होना है. Nobody is going to push it into you. You have to think that I have to be successful, I have to be progressive. And not to forget inevitable compromise on many fronts, many the family. We have that Monroe Kelly doctrine, madam. The brain, you have got skull, you have got brain, CSF and blood. One compartment grows, other has to compromise. That's where your practice grows and profession grows and families get into compromise. That's where my family was extremely supportive. I think no resistance is a best support. That's what they did. Now my son and daughter-in-law are medicals, but prior to that they were not knowing it, but they never blocked me. I hardly remember attending any family function in first 25 years of my profession, except Sunday. And it was open. So wife ka side ka nahi, mera side ka nahi, kuch nahi. Sunday rahega to aayega nahi, tu nahi aayega. That's so it may be wrong. Don't do that. Huh? You have to see your wives. My wife was supportive at least in that. My mother and my wife used to handle that. So that's where it is. Your team. Definitely without a team, you can't achieve all these things. My previous team was excellent. My new team is excellent. They were the ones who brought me here. And of course, हमारे Raigad style. अरे ये सब की वजह से तो मैं इधर हूँ. Because of this, I'm here. I can't thank them less. They are the ones who are really pillar of support. Friends, human limits are self-made. It's up to you how much you want to live, how much you want to go up. My goal is not to be better than anyone else, but to be better than I used to be. I don't think you don't compete with anybody. You're just competing, if at all, with yourself. So bridging the rural-urban gap is updating, upgrading academically, technically, and self-empowerment of a rural pediatrician. It's all about growth of yourself. You're not bridging the gap between rural and urban. You're bridging the gap of yourself. You empower yourself. And the day the rural pediatrician realizes this, he's already on the bridge. You're already on your way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for many take-home messages, very useful messages. I request Dr. Pandrikar, sir, President of the State MAHAIP, to felicitate Dr. Mahesh Mohite, sir, with Shal Shrifal. I request Udani madam to come on the stage. Dr. Pandrikar sir has made special pins for the distinguished members. And now we are on the stage of handing over the citation. सन्मान पत्र आपण आज सरांना देणार आहोत. ते महाराष्ट्र अकॅडमी ऑफ पिडियाट्रिक्स तर्फे आहे, महाराष्ट्र राज्य शाखेतर्फे. ते मी आज पहिल्यांदा आपल्याला वाचून दाखवतो आणि त्यानंतर माननीय पांढरेकर सर, माननीय मोदी सरांना ते हँडओव्हर करतील. सर्वप्रथम मी सांगतो की याचं शब्दांकन डॉक्टर राजीव धामणकर सर आणि डॉक्टर चंद्रशेखर दाभाडकर सर यांनी केलेलं आहे. मी वाचून दाखवतो. हॅव अ ग्रँड राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज फॉर देम ऑल्सो. रायगड शाखेचे यजमानपद असलेल्या या पश्चिम विभागीय व राज्यस्तरीय बालरोग तज्ञांच्या अधिवेशनादरम्यान आपणास हे सन्मानपत्र देताना आम्हाला अतिशय आनंद होत आहे. आपला जन्म याच पवित्र भूमीत अलिबागलाच झाला आहे व आपल्या जन्मभूमीतच आपणास हे सन्मानपत्र प्राप्त होते आहे. हा दुग्ध शर्करा योग आहे असे आम्हास वाटते. कोकणातील रत्नागिरी येथे शालेय शिक्षण पूर्ण करून आपण आपले वैद्यकीय शिक्षण ग्रँड मेडिकल कॉलेज मुंबई येथे पूर्ण केले. त्यानंतर आपण डॉक्टर YK आंबेकरांसारख्या बालरोग शास्त्रातील अत्यंत ज्येष्ठ व निष्णात गुरुकडे बालरोग या विषयाचे धडे गिरवले आणि पदव्युत्तर शिक्षण घेऊन MD केले. आपण इसवी सन 1990 मध्ये बालरोग शास्त्रातील आपले वैद्यकीय सेवा सुरू केली. पण केवळ एवढ्यावरच न थांबता ज्ञानार्जनाचे यज्ञकुंड सातत्याने धगधगत ठेवून आपल्या लर्न मोर, इम्प्लिमेंट इमिजिएटली अँड अहेड ऑफ टाइम, बी अहेड ऑफ टाइम या मिशन स्टेटमेंट प्रमाणे इसवी सन 1998 मध्ये आपण संपूर्ण कोकणातील नवजात बालकांसाठी पहिला अत्याधुनिक अतिदक्षता विभाग PICU सुरू केला. आपल्या पालकांनी खरोखरच अमृताची कुपी देऊनच आपले महेश असे संयुक्तिक नाव ठेवले असावे. कारण आज केवळ कोकणातीलच नव्हे तर महाराष्ट्रातील अनेक अत्यवस्थ बालरुग्णांना आपण आपल्या अथक प्रयत्नाने व प्रगल्भ बुद्धीने जीवनदान दिले आहे. आज आपण संपूर्ण देशात निष्णात बालरोग तज्ञ म्हणून प्रसिद्ध तर आहातच, त्याहूनही या वैद्यकीय क्षेत्रातील एक अत्यंत अभ्यासू वक्ता आणि हाडाचे शिक्षक म्हणूनही प्रसिद्ध आहात. यामुळेच आपणास अनेक राज्यस्तरीय व राष्ट्रीय अधिवेशनाकरता सातत्याने निमंत्रित केले जाते, याचे आम्ही साक्षीदार आहोत. आपले नेतृत्व गुण लक्षात घेऊन महाराष्ट्रातील बालरोग तज्ञांनी आपणास महाराष्ट्राचे नेतृत्व करण्यासाठी राष्ट्रीय बालरोग तज्ञ संघटनेत 2 वेळेस बहुमताने पाठवले. आपण या संघटनेच्या पिडियाट्रिक क्रिटिकल केअर चॅप्टर या संघटनेचे इसवी सन 2022 चे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्षही आहात, याचा आम्हाला अभिमान आहे. केवळ वैद्यकीय क्षेत्रातच आपली ख्याती नाही तर आपण क्रीडाप्रेमी पण आहात, याची कदाचित सर्वांना कल्पना नसेल. रायगड जिल्ह्यातील एक उत्तम फलंदाज म्हणून रायगड जिल्ह्यातील अनेक डॉक्टरांना आपण परिचित आहात. अनेक मॅरेथॉन असलेल्या स्पर्धांमध्ये आपला सहभाग व हिमालयातील गिरीशिखरे पादाक्रांत करण्याची आपली आवड याच्याशी आम्ही परिचित आहोत. अशा या बहुआयामी व्यक्तिमत्वास हे मानपत्र महाराष्ट्र राज्य बालरोग संघटना च्या वतीने देताना आम्हास अतिशय अभिमान वाटत आहे. आपल्या या वैद्यकीय सेवेला उत्तरोत्तर गती मिळो व आपणास राष्ट्रीय व आंतरराष्ट्रीय स्तरावर असेच बहुमान मिळो ही ईश्वरचरणी प्रार्थना. Thank you very much, sir, for this. Dr. Rajesh Udani, sir, please, I request you to come on dais, please.
Dr. Rajesh Udani, sir, as well as madam, please come forward, please.
He was busy on addressing virtual dais.
She's my wife, Shubha. She's my daughter-in-law, Rachana. नहीं ऐसा होता है. Rachana. She's doing pediatric immunology and rheumatology now, and she's Swara, my sweetheart. My daughter. चिरंजीव आता हैदराबादला इंटरव्हेन्शन कॉन्फरन्स आहे. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thanks all, madam.